less than 15 seconds, but thank you anyway, brother. Thank you. And because of you, we are now certified Vaticans, the three of us. We used the batik last night, another batik today, and we don't know tomorrow if we are still going to wear another batik. But we are happy and thankful that we are all here. Um, this is for all of us. It's a leadership summit. As being said, last night, the expectation for all of us, and it's been planned, and now it's became a reality. Amen. So without much ado, we go straight to Roadway. The question that was being shared by Mom, Dr. Ora, when was the last time did you say something thankful to your partner? And to make it effectual and reality, I right away praise my wife. Thank you for your love to me. So just a few minutes ago, because gratitude is the most healthiest among human emotions. At least all of us will know. That is how important it is. But that is not the topic that I prepared. It's about the other here. The picture that you have seen was taken maybe when I was still 40 years old, 45 years old. Okay, so the mission guided, this is the subject that we are going to present to you. It's about centering church policy and commitment. At least all of us will know in 38 minutes, we are going to present to you how crucial, how important it is in our organization, strengthening our church policy and our commitment. So I'd like to open this presentation. Of course, Lydia White also cited in her book, in the Christian Leadership, this particular passage from the Bible, 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Verse 40, let all things be done decently and in order. And that is self-explanatory in all the organization. Let all things be done decently and in order. So now I have the clicker. So you have the clicker. Anyway, just to avoid me stepping away from the lecture. So thank you. And then giving us the idea, some principles. At least you know some principles here to know in this particular subject, a foundation of mission-guided governance. Giving us the idea, speaking of mission, a mission actually is very is being discussed many times in all the gatherings that we have. And again, I would like to share this with you. It is reflected here. Okay, it's reflected here that mission controls the policies rather than the policies controlling the mission. The big principle here is God gives the mission. Okay, that is the first principle here. God gives the mission, and the church formulates the policies, and leaders are the one implementing both in harmony. So we cannot get away with these two. They are considered as important, but speaking of the degree, we have the understanding that it is God who gave the mission for the church. So it is on the concept here, on the idea that the mission gives birth to policy, and policy does not give birth to the mission. And the mission governs our policies, never the other way around. And the idea here, if the policies to control the mission, the church becomes institutional. So speaking of institutional, more on rules and more on ideas about we neglect the very essence about the very purpose why the Lord has given this one. But when the mission shapes the policies, the church remains missional. So that is the idea here. And then the next principle that we are going to share with you today, the working policy does not exist to make the mission difficult. It's not, designed to make the mission difficult. And sometimes being misunderstood and being misconstrued, that through the policies, there are some delays of the implementation of the program. There are some concerns because speaking of some restrictions, the implementations of the program are being distracted and delayed because of policies. But that is not the point here. So it provides clarity so that leaders can act with confidence and accountability. So now we have the idea about accountability, about confidence, and also includes resources are being used wisely and transparency, and the mission advances in unity rather than confusion. Because in some point, through the policies, it's actually creating some confusions because we put policies as primary and the mission as just secondary. Working policy is not, now again, just to share with you, that working policy is not a roadblock to mission. It is the roadway that guides us safely and strategically toward its fulfillment. And that is it says here that the working policy does not exist to make the mission difficult or impossible, but to facilitate. It's facilitating. We are happy and grateful that we have that policy. Speaking of mission, through the policies, we can easily implement the program. And to facilitate in a very easiest way, it's not blocking, but it is a road, we call this is a roadway that will guide us through this particular program. The working policy, again, the principle on this particular point here, does not exist to make life easier for the administrators, but to provide what is needed for the advancement of the mission. Policy is not about convenience, okay? But it is about consistency. When we are leading an organization, and for us, it's simply like being understood as giving us the convenience. But it's not about convenience, but it is about consistency in the implementation of the program. Nor it is, a power. It is not a power, but it is about purpose. So we have to understand that the policy that we have is not about power. Oh, I am the president of the institution. I am the president of the mission. And sometimes they are telling us, the presidents are always right. Do you agree with me? Please do not agree with me. Please do not agree with me. But there are, this is coming from, the idea is coming from Pastor King. Presidents are always right. For some reasons. There are 3 rules, but I will not share this with you. But if you like, I will. Number 1, the president is always right. Do you agree? Please do not agree. The second one, when the president gets wrong, go back to rule number 1. And number 3, when the president, rule number 3 is, wife is always right. So, speaking of policy, it's not about power, but it is about purpose. And it's not about restriction, but is all about mission protection. It's protecting the mission of the church. Amen. Amen. So working policy is a safeguard for unity. I like this phrase, a safeguard for unity and a guide for fairness and accountability. Remember, the strategic number of the Jackson Prize number 10. It's about accountability, it's about credibility, about honesty. It's guiding us for fairness in all our decisions. You know, that is why in the leadership we have uh, some aspects or elements that we want to know, like the IQ we have, but we don't have time to discuss all those. We have the EQ, this emotional quotient. We have the AQ, and that is adaptability, and we have also our adversity quotient. All these are important in the leadership, but we want to instill in the minds through the help of the policy. We ensure fairness in our leadership. When you are the president, when you are a secretary, we know a specific role, and we understand our limitations as well. We are not above the policy. We are not, we will not think about it because it's not about power. It's all about purpose. So it's a framework, meaning it's already built in. It is a blueprint. So we have the organization for mission expansion. Speaking of growth, expansion is about growth. Okay, the framework is the plan. We have the study plan for the next 5 years. So here at SSD, we have to understand it becomes now a program or initiative of SSD. So using the acronym REACH, right? So for 2026, we have Mission REACH 26. That is the hashtag. A Mission REACH Advance Voice, One Voice 27, and that's in 27. And also, I expand, I should say, because REACH, R stands for REACH, E stands for expand, and A stands for mission advance, and P stands for mission proclaim 29, and in 30 stands for S stands for mission SSD, and that is seek, save, and disciple. And we are now sharing this idea with our people in the field. So that is how important the framework for mission, and that is very important. Working policy does not exist to defend our personal ideas, but to protect the mission. When a person or a president or anybody, any one of us here will use the policy to defend our ideas, that will become political. Please do not use the policy to protect our own selves and to protect ourselves. Because once we do that, it will become political. In the life of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, policy is not a weapon for argument, but a safeguard for unity. It reminds leaders that the mission is bigger than personal preference. Principles are higher than personalities. God's work must not depend on individual opinion. When policy is used to defend our own ideas, it becomes political. When policy is used to protect the mission, it becomes spiritual stewardship. So that is the one of the principles here, because policy is not shielding ourselves, but it is the guardian for our mission. A working policy exists not only to make the church safer, but we have this idea now that the policy protects the church, and that is the reality. And we cannot deny the fact that the church policy, the church manual that we have, is actually protecting the church. However, it empowers the mission. It empowers the mission. Protection is just secondary, and mission effectiveness is primary. Policies is first. Now, just to easily remember, we have leaders from AIU, Adventist International University, AIU there. And I told Dr. Jun, tomorrow I'm going to share this principle. But this isn't about Adventist International University, but safeguarding the church. This is about accountability. We leaders, accountability is number one to our God. 2 is to the church and to the family. And that is accountability. A stands for accountability. And I stands for integrity. If we have time, we can discuss deeper how these two things are being differentiated: honesty and integrity. But you go to the dictionary; it's totally different. Integrity, honesty, but we are speaking about integrity here, and much more for unity. And then in the church is the pleading of Apostle Paul. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10. I appeal to you for what? For unity. And this is the thing now. We are all here gathered because, we are united, amen. And we collaborate. We invited, the HR people here. May see the heads of the people from the HR department. It's your dream. You are not neglected, and you have to feel that you are part of this organization. And we decided to have you included in the program. And we have the treasurers, we have the presidents here, we have also institutional leaders here joining us because we want you to feel that we are part of the organization. And that is our work to safeguarding, the mission of the church, accountability, integrity, and unity. And then, few more slides to give emphasis on the working policy. It actually strengthens the organization. It will not weaken, but it strengthens the church. It strengthens our institution, our hospital, our colleges, and all our organizations, because policies actually, with this idea, it actually giving strengthen, and leaders understand their authority and responsibility. So it also promotes efficiency. When we think about efficiency, it's actually crucial. Efficiency in policy reduces confusion and duplication. So if we expect something from the leadership, it will not create any confusion among the people here. But instead, avoiding duplication of program or activities. Processes are standardized, resources are allocated, and also, finally here, it also builds trust. And that is very, very, Pastor Kamsai, that is very, it's not Pastor Kamsai now, sorry. But what is important here is, we have to understand that, the working policy strengthens organization and also building trusts. Building trust is very, very crucial in the leadership. When the people are trusting us, any kind of program that we are going to share with them, they will not doubt on it. They will right away respond to the program because they have the confidence, they have the trust in us, regardless of what particular, programs that we have. When being presented before the church members, they will not question us anymore because we actually built and established trusts with our church members. That is why it's very essential to the leadership. Because in the organization, when there is no organization, there is no mission clarity. That is very, very important. Now, speaking, to think of your organization, you think of your institution, you think of where you are working right now. When, you are being appointed, assigned to these very sacred responsibilities. Remember, no organization, no mission clarity, and no organization, no strategies, and no organization, no use of resources, no organization, no use of what else? No effective leadership. Speaking of effective leadership, I'm tempted now to present to you an idea, but the time is limited. But the point here in the leadership, that everyone must feel, everyone must have, all of us must understand that in leadership, the elements of leadership is, there are plenty of them, like being a coach, that's very important. And also being a facilitator. You facilitate the program. And also, strategies, we make plans for the next 5 years. And being a missionary leader, okay? Or being a missionary leader. And a change agent, you can change anytime if it is not effective. And you have also to be a decision maker and also an influencer. That is leadership. When you influence people for good, and that would be great. And also a delegate, you have to delegate. You have to step out from your role and then delegate, like the K groups that we have. Do not think that all of the time you are president. When you are in the K group, let other people do it, because delegation is very important. Let it be that the leader must be a motivator and also a good listener. And that is very, very important. So no effective leadership if there's no organization. Now, speaking of efficiency, this thought highlights that inefficiency is not a small administrative weakness. Inefficiency is not a small administrative weakness. It is considered as a weakness, but it is not a small weakness, but it is a mission risk. It is a mission risk. Because no efficiency, no mission momentum. Speaking of mission momentum, we are now on the go on our mission reach 26, right? And we are now ready to implement the program, reaching the unreached people groups, and especially focus on the Indo-China. And that is the momentum now. If we will not do this, what is being presented to us, and then we expect insufficiencies. No efficiency, no momentum, and no efficiency, no wise decision. And that is very, very important. We as leaders make sometimes rash decisions. We have to understand that we are ruled by the committee. And the tendencies are, especially for the president, we right away proceed with the implementing of the program without sharing this first. Is that correct? Please do not say yes, okay? Don't say yes, because it's shameful on the part of the president that we are making rush decisions right away without informing the treasurer. Mr. Treasurer, thank you. Because yesterday we met, three of us, and in the eyes of the people, and we discussed about the possibility, a plan of sending again our ancillary workers, speaking of auxiliary drivers, the cook, and those working in the utility, to go to Bible land in 2027, in 2028, and 2029. Say amen, initiators. Why I heard only a few amen. Because of the budget, we will tell you. Because many times we heard, when we are sending ancillary workers, the officers would say, no budget. But when the programs are intended for the president, right away, buy ticket before the approval of the ticket bought before the approval. But for ancillary, Ma'am Angie, is now in the strategic timeline of SST in 27. Of course, we have to divide the number, because it will be a big expansion on the part of SST to send ancillary workers to Bible land. But this time we go to Gaza, it's free actually, so no problem. And now, no efficiency, no legal protection. Speaking of legal protection, allow me to dwell on this particular subject. I asked, you can ask your presidents, a few days ago, we asked favor from them to provide us the figure of number of cases that we have in the past years, regardless of number of years, maybe from 2000 until today. And we have discovered that not one, even one, that has no legal cases, the unions were facing. And we spent millions of dollars is not just thousands of dollars combined, a cumulative figure, and not to mention an institution or institutions. But if we are going to combine, why that happened? Maybe because of the policy implementation. And many of these cases we lost in the Supreme Court. And we paid millions of pesos because of policy negligence. That's why we are sharing this idea to you. The importance of keeping faithfully the church has a complex personality. The other one has a legal personality, which is the corporation, and the ecclesiastical, which is the church. And if we fail to understand and that particular scenario, we will be having problems in the church. Because no efficiency, no legal protection. Records may be incomplete, procedures may be bypassed, compliance may be neglected. Pastor Jason, we are worried because we belong to one family. And this will be shared during the breakouts about the disclaimers. So we need to understand that this is not just the work of the treasury, but this is to understand that is a corporate responsibility. Amen. When the organization has the problem, you can put blame to the presidential, you can put blame to the secretariat, you can put blame, but you have to put blame to all of us because of this concern problem that we are facing. Financial penalties or liabilities. No efficiency, no legal protection. It will result of financial penalties or liabilities. And that's one that we shared with you, millions of dollars, not just millions of pesos, but millions of dollars. We have the figure. Damage of institutional reputation. Labor problems, cases filed up against the organization because of a very simple issue, lack of understanding about policy. Just very simple. Lack of a little understanding. A lawyer, an Adventist lawyer said, 60% of our problem because the officers don't really understand simple basic laws of the land. We send orders, we take actions to discipline, and even constructive dismissal. It resulted to penalties and liabilities, damage of institutional reputation. And we have a case in the Supreme Court decided that we lost the case. And this will result to a loss of trust, of public trust. Our institutions. No efficiency, no available time, because it's already affected us. No more pastoral care. Evangelism is affected, leadership development is affected, and even spiritual growth. Because efficiency is not about speed, it is about stewardship. Now, finally, a final appeal from the leadership. Let's make the working policy book a missionary book. Amen. Amen. We are people of the book, grounded. Amen. What did you say at EUP? Grounded in the mission? Grounded in the Bible. Grounded in the Bible and focus on the mission. And let it be that the working policy will become a missionary book. Amen. And finally, Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plan. May the good Lord will come to bless us. Our prayer.